House on Pleasant Street channel here on YouTube. I'm just showing the progress on my vaulting of my ceiling in my sun porch. This is going to be part 3. So I've started some work, obviously. I've been progressing on the styrofoam. So as you can see, I still got just the one layer of styrofoam up in all the cavities. And I have spray foamed in between the cracks, and you can see how that's expanded nicely. So everything is sealed up. I will come back and trim this and get that out of the way so I can get my second layer on there. On this little outside wall up here, this is pretty much considered the finished product. So I've got 2 full layers of 2 inch. So I got 4 inches of the rigid styrofoam. I have crack filled everything with the expandable foam. I have trimmed it, and I have tuck taped all my seams. Now I did have a little bit of a bigger gap there. I came back to do a little touch up, but I will trim that off. Like I said, I still need a full second layer on this upper section. I did drill my holes in the rafters to run my wire. So that's worked out well also. And so my light fixture is going to be somewhere up here, hanging down. I think I can make that look pretty good. Some kind of I don't know, small dangly light or chandelier or something. The other idea was to maybe run the wire on this back wall and maybe have some kind of a track light or something with pots coming down. I could change my mind on this one. I'm not sure. I'll have to consult with, the other people that live here, see what they think. But it's going well. I didn't do a lot of work yesterday. I'm kind of limited to what I can do. I've also gone up here. I'm just going to climb on this ladder. So where the rafters meet the sill up here, I have sealed all this cavity in. I've sealed all these cavities. So far I've got 2 cans of foam invested in this. They're about $10 each, but it's well worth it. This is still a cheaper alternative than spray foaming or having a company come in and do spray the expandable foam on. That's very expensive. But you get kind of the same results with this. On this outer wall, I have started up here. The last time I had talked about, I put these structural members in. And like I said, I attached a piece of styrofoam from the back of the conventional 2x4. So I've got one like this in the back, which is glued onto the wood. And I've installed the second one on top. So I've got 2 full layers here. I've just got a clamp in place there. I just put the clamp in to allow the foam board adhesive to stick to the wood. It probably would have been fine without, but I just thought I'd set that up there, make sure nothing shifted. So I've got 2 full layers on here. In my cavity, I've got room for a third. So I will add a third piece on there. I've got lots of foam left. I think I've only used 6 or 7 so far, and I've got another... I bought 14, so quite a few left. I have filled in the door cavity. So the door cavity, I took out that old, the white styrofoam, the granular stuff that has a very low R value. I got rid of that. I installed, so I've got 2 inches of foam here. I've spray foamed all around the frame. So that's going to be nice and tight. No drafts. The whole point, it's not so much that I want to make this tight. I want to get rid of the drafts. And obviously it's drafty right now because I'm still open to the attic, which is an outside space. Hopefully today I will have this closed off. And in fact, it's so drafty in here that when I have my plastic down, it just flutters in the wind like a flag. So, in the door, like I said, I got the foam. I still have a space here. So I'm either going to add more foam or I'm going to add wooden members here to provide some kind of an attaching surface for my covering and whatever that may be. Probably going to be drywall, but I got to figure out a way that whatever it is I put here, it has to be I got to make something so that I can, when I lay my sheet of drywall across, it has something to attach to more than just styrofoam. So that's where I'm at, part 3. It's a good little project. I still have not tackled this back wall. That's for future. Like I mentioned before, I got to see what the situation is with the insulation in here. But for today, and probably for the next maybe couple of days, the plan is to close off this area, build this up, consider this one finished. Then I want to add a second layer on every one of these cavities. And then I had a thought of maybe adding a third layer, because obviously the more insulation, the better. But I don't know how that's going to work if I cover styrofoam. Obviously, I could attach styrofoam across the whole surface. But then it makes it harder to figure out and locate my wooden structures for when I put my beadboard up. So I'm not sure. I may build this out a little bit. I might even put a layer up here just this way. I'm for sure putting a layer this way. But after that, if I do decide to do a third layer, I might even run it this way again and then just build this out, because I'm going to have to put a little wooden member on the outside here. I'm going to have to build this up a little bit after. That's okay. It's all insulated now, just so that I have something to attach when I get up in that corner. But we'll see how this goes. I got nothing drawn out or planned. I kind of always just do it as I go, and so far it's going well. I think it's going to be a great improvement. I mean, this is very high, and for a little tiny boxy room like this, to have a ceiling this high, it's certainly going to make the room look much bigger. And I kind of like, it would almost be a thought to leave these exposed, but then again, the cracks are kind of big. I do like looking at this big timber. I mean, you can just imagine going to your local lumber yard, in 2020 and finding boards that are that big. They just don't exist. So, but anyway, I don't think I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to cover it. Like I said, nothing is definite yet. I've been known to change my mind as I go. There's a little bit of beadboard on the bottom that I really don't dislike. In fact, this one is very well done. But if I do drywall, what's that going to look to have drywall, a little bit of beadboard there? So I'm not sure. I'll figure it out as I go. For now, I've got this section fairly tight. I'm going to close this in, spray foam, trim the expandable stuff out of the way, and put another layer up here. So in the next couple of days, if I get this done, I'll be pretty happy. So that's just a little bit of an update on my little sunroom project. More to follow. Okay, it's a little bit later in the day. Still in the front porch here. I have added a second layer of pink in my rafters. I've got that one. Just I got a little piece of wood and a screw just holding that until the adhesive sets up. I started taping up a little bit. Still got some more taping to do. Obviously here where the wire is, I left a little bit of a crack. I may fill that in with the expandable to bury that wire. I'm still planning, I think, to build this down a little bit with some lumber. Because you can see the foam. Although 2 times 2 layers of foam is a full 4 inches, because of imperfections and whatnot, and maybe the adhesive, the foam sticks out just a few millimeters proud of the wood. So just to make things easier and to bring everything on the same plane, I probably will build this lumber up again. Like I said before, most likely I will. And also because now that the lumber is buried in the corner, there will be nothing left to attach. So I will attach a piece of lumber this way, I think. And I'll bring this out as well. And that'll be my new plane. That's going to be just fine. Got a bit of a gap over here. That's okay. I've got this expandable foam is already all fully behind the first layer. I'm going to come back and do some touch-ups with the expandable foam. Over here, I finally have this, I've got this cavity closed in. So I've got 2 layers of the pink. So that gives me R20. Now, because I mounted the first layer outside of the 2x4, I was able to put 1 inside. So it's 2 inches of styrofoam, and then the real 2x4 is not quite 4. So I can't put another full 2 inches. So what I'm going to do, what I came up with, is that old piece that old white piece of styrofoam. That's the piece that they had over here. It doesn't have a huge R value rating. I think it's 5 or maybe 7. But that's what they had here. I've replaced that with the 10. And I still have room to add a little bit. So because I'm looking at these scrap pieces here, this is the white that they were using. And this is the pink that I'm using. And if I bring this up here, you'll see that I don't really have enough. This kind of sticks out. It sticks out, whereas the white stuff, which is I think 1 or 1 1/4, will fit in here nicely. So not exactly a great R value, yet it's better to put this in this little cavity than nothing at all. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim up that scrap piece of white styrofoam, and I'm going to paste that onto here. I'm going to seal everything up and expandable foam everything if it has to. I just want to show this just so you can see that I actually do have 2 layers of pink and behind that crappy white. I think that's going to be fine there. I'm just trying to level off this wall. Once this is done, then I will come back with a 12-inch strip that goes all the way up. I'll come up to this wire. I'll have a break here. I'll keep going all the way up. That should be enough to go over and cover up the 2x4 that's there. So everything will be wrapped in a blanket of styrofoam. I think that will be my day. If I get this done today, I did a little bit this morning, I'm going to call this good. I'm happy with the progress. This is the, again, the vaulting of my my sunroom ceiling, and it's going quite well. I'm happy so far. Good little job, good little project. I think it's not a lot of money spent here, and it's gonna have a nice effect. Okay, that's all for now. A little bit of an update on my porch. Still doing a little bit of work here. I didn't do all that much yesterday. I finished all the styrofoam, and I've decided to go with only the 2 layers. So it's going to be an R20. Not the best insulation for an attic, but considering there was nothing there before, I think it's going to work. I've added these 1x6s, kind of like a strapping, so it overlaps the seams as a styrofoam and it hides the 2x4. And what I'm going to use these vertical members as is it's going to be a way to attach my beadboard. So I'm going to run the beadboard horizontally, and it's going to be stapled to these timbers here. The beadboard that I bought is a tongue and groove, and like I said, I'm going to be putting this on a horizontal. I took the spray foam and I filled all the cracks. So I came back again for a second full application. So I've got every crack is now filled all the way around. I've got to come back obviously and trim this out of the way. This outside wall, as before, It's pretty much, that was already done in the last time we talked, but I did also add this little structural wooden member. Again, it's just for my beadboard to attach to. I did the spray foam up here. So all the cracks and crevices are done. Everything is tight. There are no drafts whatsoever. I've got everything tuck taped. Again, gonna do a little trimming. All these cracks and crevices are done. Even the corner seams. Where I couldn't get the spray foam, I did the caulking. So this is now considered tight. Pretty happy with this. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is down here, I think. I like the beadboard. They did a good job here, but I think what I've decided, I don't want too many different surfaces in here. So as much as I did like this, I'm going to do the beadboard very similar to that product, but I'm going to run them horizontally. So the whole ceiling I want done horizontally with beadboard. And I think the rest of the room I will just do in drywall or sheetrock. Back here, all up here will be drywalled, and down here. So I don't want horizontal beadboard and then vertical beadboard. So this all has to go. And another little thing that I kind of like, but I don't, which is a weird thing to say, is this right here. Let me show you this in a second. Okay, I liked how they had trimmed the windows. They did a fantastic job. They've got the cord around. It's all nice. Their joints are really good. And then this other little piece here finished off the window nicely. But the problem is I was thinking about leaving that, but just standing back here, I can tell that this is very crooked. So when I look at the window, I just put the level on the window. And you can see the bubble. I mean, that window's crooked as heck. That window's crooked. So I'm not going to take the window out. I'm going to live with it. But the window's a little crooked. And then they added this trim on top, which is even way worse. I mean, you're talking, I just got my little tiny level on here. And I mean, you're talking, in the span of 2 foot, whatever this level is, I mean, that's how much you're off by. So you can imagine a 4-foot window. I mean, you're probably talking a difference of like well over an inch. So the window is not that crooked. The trim is even more crooked than the window. So this all has to come out. This all has to come out over here. So I will get rid of all that. Same with this one. This one here is not as bad. But if I take one out, I got to take them all. And then this one here, it's got a real bow. Like it bows down in the middle. Like I hate that. It bothers me. So that's all going. This trim is all going. This beadboard is all going, and that electric baseboard serves absolutely no purpose, and it's got the exposed wire. I've never used this. The house has full central heat, so this little room does not need this heater. I've never had it on. It's not centered. This is going. So I think I'm going to tackle that this morning. I'm just going to get rid of all this. Kind of an easy morning, and I'm not going to start up here yet because I have to run the saw and it's still early morning. I don't want to disturb any neighbors. This back wall here also still needs to be addressed. There's some cavities here with no insulation. But before I rip all this out, I'm going to tackle this little stuff here. This will come off easier. So that's the plan for this morning. Yeah, that's all got to go.